Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Show number 2 today. I just want to point that out right out the gate. You know, for some people, maybe I don't get enough credit. It's the second show, all right? We already did a show at 7. Cheers to everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. A lot to talk about around the Lakers this morning. People are losing it. They're just absolutely losing it. Lakers lose a game to the San Antonio Spurs. That's it. Trade everybody. Blow this whole thing up. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for many different places that you can catch some of your Lakers content. I appreciate that you guys make this spot one of the places that you go to, one of your go-to spots. So thank you very much for being here. Packed show today. I got a rundown that I'm going to give you guys. Then we'll get the show started. We got a guest that's coming on at 8:30, so I'm looking forward to having him on. Of course, I'll do what I always do, which is read a lot of your comments and go from there. So cheers to you. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their morning. We did have a member show this morning starting at 7 a.m. So while you were laying down on your bed, scratching your ass, we were preparing for this show. Always appreciate the members. So a lot of really, really supportive people of the channel. So I appreciate that. If you're not able to be a member or is that something not of interest, all good. No problem at all. Come on our live shows. Obviously, absolutely free, so you don't have to pay a dime for it. If you do want to be a member, there's a link that you can see in the description to join of being a member. All right, let's get a quick rundown of the show here. Was at crypto last night. Cheers. Did the post-game show from the arena. Really disappointing game. Just maybe a little bit of life towards the end there, but for the most part, I think everybody understands what I'm saying. Just the game was, just Lakers never really had a shot in that game. Spurs handled the Lakers. We'll talk a little bit about the actual game. What happened? Is there a theme here between certain teams that the Lakers play and the struggles that they have? Certain types of teams out there that give the Lakers problems. We'll get into that. I want to look at Austin Reaves' last handful of games here. I don't know if Austin Reaves is hitting a fatigue level because he has carried the Lakers for the first month and a half of the season. I don't know if Austin Reaves is having trouble adjust because LeBron's back in the lineup. And when he's not in the lineup, he plays a certain way. When Luka's in the lineup, he has to kind of take even a further step back. Frankly, I think for those who, make the argument about making trades, I think some of those arguments, when you start looking at how Austin Reaves plays with some of the other stars, maybe I get some of the angles, but here's the reality. Austin Reaves, I don't think is going anywhere unless you're getting a big time package, but we could at least talk about his struggles and whether Austin Reaves likes it or not. Lakers are going to need him to perform with LeBron and with Luka. This isn't one of those, if one of those players are out. So we'll hit on Austin Reaves' struggles. Trade or wait? Part of the reason why I like doing these member shows in the morning is I'm asking for some help on some angles, some topics, some things that people think would be a good conversation to have when I do the show. That was an interesting conversation. I had a lot of Laker fans that were making the case like, Al, I don't know. I mean, okay, you go out there and you make a trade and then what? You're still going to hang with the Spurs are probably the 4th or 5th best team in the Western Conference. Look what they did to you. Phoenix, we saw a week and a half ago with Devin Booker, what they did to you. OKC, we've already seen it. Denver and Houston, the Lakers haven't played yet. There were pretty decent amount of people that were pumped the brakes on a trade here, which I thought was interesting. I think there's a way to accomplish both goals. You make a trade and you're building for the future. Khobi Price, SoCal News Group's going to join the show about 8:30. We'll have him on for about 20 minutes or so. He'll join the show. He was at the game yesterday, and we'll get his opinion, his thoughts on the Lakers. The NBA Cup semifinals is set. The Lakers are not going to be a part of it, obviously. Lakers will be in Phoenix on Sunday, so kind of a weird schedule. They don't play again till Sunday. Then they don't play again till Thursday. So some time off for the Lakers. Feels like an all-star break. This has happened now. This will be the second time this year where they go 4 or 5 days without playing a game. There is other NBA games going on tonight. Got some NBA news that I'm going to hit on as well, and then we'll call it a day. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel. And we'll get the show started here in just a second. I want to look at a couple of these comments here before we even get started. Slee, last night was proof. You can't have Luka and Reaves in your backcourt together and be taken seriously as a contender. Reaves couldn't guard a brick wall last night. By the way, the Lakers couldn't guard a brick wall last night. Yeah, Lakers, look, let's be honest here. I think if you look at the last couple of days, whether it was Rich Paul, Richard Jefferson, Byron Scott, there's a few different people that are coming out, over these last couple of days and just basically pointing out what we all know. They don't have enough defense. They don't have enough depth. So certainly exposed yesterday. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Lakers suck. Bring AD back. You sure about that one? Sure about that? I don't think you're sure about that. I think you're pulling my leg here. All right, let's see what we got. Another one here. I think Lakers have 4 of the top floppers of all time: Smart, Reaves, Luka, and LeBron. Man, there is something about. I talked about this a little bit during the post-game show yesterday. I talked a little bit about I mentioned I was more specific about Luka, but I also talked about Austin Reaves and trying to draw fouls. Yeah, that one is, if you're not getting fouls called, you better go to a plan B. If you got one pitch that's not working, you better have another pitch in your arsenal, because some of the games I think Reaves has struggled or Luka has struggled, man, not even struggled for Luka, but complains the most, is when they're not getting calls their way. It's like, all right, you're not going to get every call. You can't be going to the basket trying to draw a foul every single possession. There's going to be times where the refs are telling you, this is not tonight. We're not going to be calling it the way that you want us to call it. And I don't think, some of these players are adjusting enough. I certainly didn't think for the Lakers and specifically for Austin Reaves that they were adjusting enough as well. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you very much for being here. And shout out to everybody that's on the chat. Thank you for throwing in so many comments and everything else. All right, let's get started here. So they lose last night to the San Antonio Spurs. I think a couple of things jump out to me in the game. There's a few things. It's interesting sometimes when the Lakers dictate a game from the beginning, or they're basically playing catch up the entire night. San Antonio, to start out that game, kind of dictated what the pace was going to be. They dictated the style of play. I thought the San Antonio Spurs got to do whatever they wanted last night, and the Lakers don't have a very good counterpunch. Let's put it that way. Lakers have their own style of how they play, the pace that they want to play with, what players they get involved. There's kind of a blueprint of how Lakers get W's, but there's also a blueprint of how Lakers lose. Definitely a blueprint of how Lakers lose. I think there is no question about it. When you're watching the game last night, you're kind of seeing the style that San Antonio Spurs are like, we're going to make this a track meet. We're going to run up and down the floor. We'll be very, very physical as well. We'll try to pick up players full court. Not full court, but you guys know what I mean. Try to put a lot of pressure on the ball. And they have the ability to have just these really young, athletic players, great defenders. I mean, San Antonio, listen, I get some of the story last night is about the Lakers losing. For me, I think the bigger story was San Antonio's really good, and they don't have Wemby yet. But I thought one of the things that the San Antonio Spurs did to the Lakers right out the gate was they dictated the style. So a few things stand out to me. Number one, when things aren't going the Lakers' way, I worry and I have some concern about what their counterpunch is going to be. Number two, defensively for the Lakers, look, guys, they gave up 70 in the first half. San Antonio had 104 points through 3 quarters. There was a point in last night's game, and it didn't take very long, where you're like, yeah, they're not going to win this game. You can't give up that many points. You can't be that far behind from an offensive or from a defensive perspective and think that, oh, you're just going to figure things out. You're going to need a perfect game from all of these players offensively And that doesn't happen in the NBA, so you shouldn't be depending on that to happen. But San Antonio basically just hit the Lakers right in the chin, and it was like, all right, what are you going to do about it? One of the positives I could take away from yesterday's game, and there weren't many, was Marcus Smart. But can you really rely on Marcus Smart? I mean, first off, if your game plan is to have Marcus Smart hit or shoot 14 threes, obviously that's not in the game plan. Why was Marcus Smart taking so many threes? Lakers were behind. What he got to lose? He had open looks. The guy's just trying to get back into gameplay. He missed 6 games in a row. So I think it had a lot to do with those reasons than anything else. But we did get a chance to see Marcus Smart last night. He comes off the Lakers bench. Lakers have no bench. We'll get into that in a little bit. And as you continue to watch the game unfold, the San Antonio Spurs were never really met with Lakers are locking down. They're getting the stops that they need, and Lakers are going to find a way to turn this game around. You kind of just felt that vibe from the beginning. So give the San Antonio Spurs a lot of credit. With all that being said, and you kind of start looking at the types of teams Lakers struggle against, and I think San Antonio is obviously one of those teams. Okay, let's look at some of the last few losses for the Lakers and see what they have in common. Phoenix, young, play really, really hard, will play for 48 minutes straight. You're not really sure where some of their scoring is going to come from, even though most of the time it's going to come from Devin Booker. But there is a good balance, and especially when Devin Booker was out. Look, Phoenix shot incredible. Give them a lot of credit. I expect Lakers to be a lot more competitive on Sunday when they take on the Phoenix Suns. But young, fast, play really hard. Okay, they lost to the Boston Celtics. Young, fast, really well coached, play really hard. Yesterday against the San Antonio Spurs, young, athletic, can get stops, are a headache, are well coached. Lakers lost to the San Antonio Spurs as well. Guys, this is the stretch we were talking about. And I think some people probably got annoyed with me by it, but that's all right. I don't have a problem with that. When I said, look, they've won 7 games in a row, but let's just look, the competition hasn't been all that great. Let's see how they do over these next 5 games. Now you can say 6 games because we know that, obviously they're playing the Phoenix Suns, so this is going to be another team over 500. They're 2-3 in their last 5 games. Yes, I know it hasn't been perfect. Luka was out for a couple of the games. LeBron didn't play a second of a back-to-back. No question about it. I'm not trying to take any of that away. I understand there's always context to things. But there are certain teams that the Lakers play stylistically. Look at their last 4 losses. OKC, Phoenix, Boston, and San Antonio. Young, athletic, play defense. You're not really sure who's going to be where the points are coming from, as in they can have 5-6 guys scoring in double figures. And I think there's, obviously a trend that's right there for the Lakers. And they got Phoenix coming up on Sunday. So we'll find out if the Lakers are able to. And I'm not sure. I haven't looked. I'll take a quick look here. I don't know. We got enough time before it happens. But let's just see. Devin Booker. I know he didn't play yesterday against the Thunder. We'll see if Devin Booker goes in the game on Sunday. But it gives you a little bit of context. It kind of gives you a little bit of idea when Lakers are losing, the types of teams that they're losing to. Okay, I want to talk Austin Reaves. Slee, and they were blowouts. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I mean, the game against Phoenix was never a game. The game against Thunder was never a game. Boston was up by, 20 plus by the time the first quarter was done. And then yesterday, Lakers were down 9 at halftime, and then obviously we knew what happened from there. All right, let me see one thing here. All right, let's keep going here. I do want to talk about Austin Reaves. I'm going to do that in just a second. All right, let's see what we have here. This saved us the disappointment of getting destroyed by OKC by 50. I got to be honest with everybody. Not a fan of that mentality. I'd rather win. I'd rather have one last night and get another shot at the Oklahoma City Thunder. I hear people saying, hey, this is good for the Lakers. They don't have to play the Thunder. Hey, this is good for the Lakers. They get a little bit more rest. The rest part I can understand, but come on. I mean, at the end of the day, why dodge any of these teams? Why don't you just get more information on some of the matchups that you're going up against? Maybe you don't need the matchup against the Thunder to get the information that you're looking for. Maybe we all know that, obviously Lakers are struggling against these types of teams. Okay. Why did JJ pull Ayton in the second half? Ayton was playing well, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe trying something different. I think there's some people lately that are also looking at JJ Redick and talking a little bit about, he's getting a little bit stubborn, and you're thinking about the playoffs last year. I will tell you this: I'm not going to sit here and try to make this big case, and I do want to move on to Austin Reaves, but if your team in the last 6 games has given up 122 points a game on average, and you're not using Jared Vanderbilt, one of the only players that you have from a defensive perspective, then why have Jared Vanderbilt on your team? I saw in this morning, I was doing the show for the members, and somebody was making the case, hey, Al, why don't they use Nick Smith Jr. more? I'm not opposed to that as well. I think Nick Smith Jr. has given the Lakers some really good minutes. I think he can maybe help orchestrate or quarterback the second unit, because I think the second unit is, sorry for the very blunt description, is trash. Lakers don't have anybody on that bench you can really depend on other than Jackson Hayes. We'll see what Marcus Smart does. But I think there's a little bit from a JJ Redick perspective. I will say that it would be nice that you're a little more creative with Vando. If right now your struggles are on the defensive side, maybe you try to use Vando a little bit. Vando's been a pro, I'll give him that. But the reality is he's not getting any run, and the Lakers also aren't playing any defense in their last 6 games. Well, then why have Vando? Why have Vando? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. And by the way, I'm not sitting here telling you got to play Vando 48. I'm not trying to make this crazy case about Vando. The case I'm just trying to make is you have a defensive player on your team, and your team is currently not playing any defense. Try it. How is it going to hurt you? It's not going to hurt you. It's not like Vando's going to come in, even if it gives you some offensive struggles, or maybe they're just so dependent on offense that's why they're not trying it. But that's an issue in itself if you're that dependent on offense. Okay, cheers to everybody here. Cheers. Take a quick break here for a quick second. Let's breathe here. Hope everybody's having a good morning. Ready to talk Austin Reaves? Let's talk Austin a little bit. I want to point out Reaves here in his last 5 games or so. Let me just kind of, I had this popped up. Let me come back to it. Okay, so I got something here with Austin Reaves. I'm going to point something out here. I saw an article, and this was LakeShow Live. LeBron James is making it impossible for Austin Reaves to succeed on the Lakers. AR is struggling with LeBron back. That's just the headline. I don't even need to get into the details of it, but I just want to give you guys a little bit of the narrative coming out of yesterday's game. Okay? So LeBron making it tough for Austin Reaves was kind of the angle that they had here. Let me point out Austin Reaves' last few games for the LakeShow and some of his struggles, and then we'll talk a little bit about our thoughts on Austin Reaves and how he's been doing. That game against the Phoenix Suns, where the Lakers got blown out against Phoenix, he played 33 minutes, had 16 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. Not an Austin Reaves type of game. Okay? Game against the Sixers, 11 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 of 16 from the field. And then yesterday, 15 points, 6 of 16 from the field, 8 rebounds and 7 assists. That portion is those are good stats there for Reaves, the 8 rebounds and the 7 assists. 3 of the last 5 games for the Lakers, Reaves has not looked like himself. He's got a lot of point totals over the course of the last couple of weeks or this season. 31 points, 33 points, 44 points, 36 points. I mean, Reaves has been incredible, just incredible for the Lakers. And this isn't hey, Reaves has struggled, so that's it. You got to trade him. You guys can be on that. You guys can have that conversation. That's not the conversation that I'm going to have. But here's the thing that I want to point out, and I want to go back to that article that I just mentioned that, hey, Reaves is struggling and it's because of LeBron. Let me tell you part of Austin Reaves' job as a Los Angeles Laker. His job is not to be great when LeBron is out or Luka is out or both of those guys are out. The idea and the concept, think of other stars around the NBA, and it's like, hey, Jaylen Brown is only good if Tatum is out, or he's at his best when Tatum is out. All right, well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean you're going to go compete for a championship. Or let me just kind of look at some other players out there. Again, I'm thinking of teams that have two really good players. Well, Jalen Williams really struggles if Chet is playing or if Shea is playing. All right, well, those are two really important players on your roster. They're going to be playing, so you got to figure it out. Think of another team out there. I'm just, again, going off the top of my head. Well, Jamal Murray really struggles if Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic are in the game. Well, tough shit. The roster is got to get as much talent on the team as possible and then figure it out from there. I don't want to hear Austin Reaves is struggling because LeBron is back. I don't want to hear that. If Austin Reaves is the all-star caliber player that he's been so far this season with the Lakers, his job is not to be great when other players or other stars are out. His job is to be great with the other stars. That's the only way you're going to make noise this season. That's the only way the Lakers are going to go on a deep playoff run. It's not, well, these players are out, so Reaves can go out there and put up some real numbers. No, he's got to be able to do it while those two players are on the floor. I'll tell you where LeBron does not have any impact on Austin Reaves. LeBron doesn't have impact on the types of shots Austin Reaves chooses to take. LeBron doesn't have any impact of Austin Reaves trying to draw fouls and not getting the whistle from a referee and continuing to play, not making any adjustments and continuing to try to draw fouls. When Reaves has been great, I'll take the last 5 games, okay? The game against the Suns, he took 7 free throws. The game against the Sixers, he took 6 free throws. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm reading this wrong. The game against the Suns, he took 1 free throw. The game against the Sixers, he took 5 free throws. The game against the Spurs, he took 1 free throw. When Reaves doesn't get to the free throw line, it feels like his whole game is affected. Against the Celtics, he took 17 free throws. Against the Raptors, he took 15 free throws. Against the Pelicans, he took 12 free throws. He's almost double-digit free throws in every game. But the games he does not get double-digit free throws, he really, really struggles. Not getting that call. And that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make about Austin Reaves. You got to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And I think Reaves is getting too stuck right now on one plan. And if that plan isn't working, then he struggles. Maybe Reaves is tired. Maybe he's been carrying the Lakers, fatigue, whatever the case is. Maybe this rest is going to help him. But I'm not putting Reaves' struggles in 3 of these last 5 games on anybody else on that roster. That's on Austin Reaves. LeBron ain't going anywhere. Luka's not going anywhere. And if LeBron's going anywhere, it's not going to be till after this season. And I do think Austin Reaves is going to be a Laker for years to come. Unless there's a blockbuster trade that the Lakers just have to make. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments and let's go. All AR haters in full force. Thank goodness they are not the GM. Listen, guys, I'm not trying to sit here and I hope you guys understand this as well. No one's trying to blow smoke up your ass and trying to tell you that Austin Reaves has been great these last couple of games. He hasn't. But I think you got to start looking at, all right, well, why hasn't he been good? I don't want to hear it's just tall, athletic defenders. Look what he did against the Toronto Raptors. Look what he did against Boston, who the Celtics got to focus their entire defense on Austin Reaves, and he was still great. Now, I know LeBron and Luka didn't play in that game, so he got a chance to be more of himself. But great players aren't great when other great players with them are not playing or they're not there or they're missing their MIA for that game. Great players are great because all the talent is there and they still find ways to be great and productive. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see here. All right. Thanks, guys. Defense. Luka Reaves never winning anything together, Slee. We don't know that. We don't know that. I think that the team definitely has some flaws, and I think if it's Luka and Austin Reaves, then you better have phenomenal players all around them from a defensive perspective, the right wings, the right center. But certainly right now, obviously these last couple of games, you can poke some holes at the Lakers. You can certainly poke holes on defensively, how the Lakers look and everything else. I miss Scrappy Reaves. Yeah, almost looks like he's in his head a little bit. And like I said in the past, when he's not getting calls, I feel like that affects his game. He doesn't have a counter punch either. What were Reeves' stats against OKC without Braun? I'll read that to you. By the way, I don't know if you're asking the question to make a point or if do I have that? I'll have to look to see. I want to see it. I just don't know if I can while I'm doing the show live, to be honest with you. I don't think it lists all his games. See all. Let me see here. What did Reeves do against OKC? 4 of 12 from the field. If I'm no. Is that right? Yeah, they lost 4 of 12 from the field. He struggled. 13 points. Kind of falls. Yeah, it falls into the it falls into a kind of a different category when you put it that way. The best Lakers defense is their offense. By the way, thank you for the super brother. I appreciate you. The best Lakers defense is their offense. By the way, M. Chi, thank you for being a new member there. I appreciate that, buddy. Remember, we do shows not every morning. Once a week, we do some shows in the morning. We did one this morning, so thank you for being a member. Let's see what we got here. The Lakers' best defense is their offense. The Lakers' best defense is their offense. Can I tell you something? And let's kind of run with that for a quick second. Yeah, you're not getting very far if you're going to rely that much on your offense, you're going to struggle. You got to be able to get stops. You got to be able to play defense in the league. Obviously, everybody knows that. That just kind of comes with the territory. And if that doesn't change, then, we're obviously going to have some issues with the Lakers as the season progresses. But I'd rather have some of these issues on December 11th, and they got time to figure some stuff out, and we can go from there. Okay, there's still a number of topics I want to get into. One of the topics from the members this morning that we were talking about is, do you make changes to the Lakers bench? Is there a starter right now that should be coming off the bench to kind of help with some of your depth or your lack of depth? And then I think another conversation is, how much do you look at this team and say to yourself, by the way, look, it's so funny. We're making it sound like the sky's falling. They're 17-7. So through 24 games, they're 17-7. I know they've lost 3 of their last 5 games, but there's a lot more context I think we could add to the Lakers. Also, something we're going to be doing is talking about a trade or waiting. What are some of the reasons you make a trade? What are some of the reasons you wait? We could do that as well. Before I do so, I want to welcome in our guest, nice enough to join the show, nice enough to join the program, Khobi Price, who I mentioned with the OC Register, joining the show. Khobi. Good morning, brother. Oh, we got no audio with you, Khobi. Got no audio. Take your time. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
there he is. There he is.
I always forget that the mic will be plugged in, everything's set up, and then the actual mic is not turned on. I don't know why. I go through my pointer.
Well, here's what you do. You make in-game adjustments. That's what you just did right there.
There we go.
Something wasn't working, and then next thing I know, Khobi is like, no, we're going to plan B.
Gotta have one.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you, obviously, for joining the show. I appreciate that. Good little background you got there. I like that. Little Sports Illustrated. Is that magic there with the sky hook?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very
Got the
nice.
Magic. Got the you probably maybe not see it as well. Got the Jerry West jersey. Got well, you can't see on this side, but on the other side of the Magic is a little Kobe Bryant from his last game, 60 points. Just
Phenomenal.
got a setup here.
Phenomenal. All right, you guys have heard Khobi before. He's come on the show. Obviously covers the Lakers for the SoCal News Group. So is that all the games? Is that all the pressers and travels as well for the road games? So definitely can offer some great insight. Let's kind of start off with yesterday. I don't know. Maybe I jumped ahead a little bit. And I understand that the Spurs, if I'm correct now, have won 9 of 12 games without Wemby. So it's not like what they did yesterday should have been shocking. But I think I was just walking into last night's game a little bit more confident about the Lakers. I like the way they closed off that road trip. And I did feel like with a chance to get to Vegas, another opportunity to play the Oklahoma City Thunder, I thought it was kind of lined up for the Lakers. How surprised were you about the results yesterday? And tell me some of the stuff that stuck out to you.
Not extremely surprised. I mean, maybe a little bit, just because when the team's missing their best player, you expect for the team that's relatively healthy in the Lakers to just simply compete more. But we have I know we're 24 games into the season. So the sample, I mean, it's not really a small sample anymore, but it's a small-ish sample of the Lakers playing at relatively full health. So I know it's not the biggest sample, but we have a decent sample of the Lakers struggling to defend teams and contain teams that are fast and athletic and that are younger and can really exploit their lack of foot speed, their lack of athleticism, and their lack of oftentimes physicality on the perimeter. So, and these are areas like I think that's you go look back about a month when they last played the Spurs. You swap out Victor Wembanyama for De'Aaron Fox. And that's honestly that's the kind of team that maybe the Lakers are more equipped to defend. I'm not saying they're more equipped to defend Victor Wembanyama than De'Aaron Fox as individually,
but I know what you mean.
The style of play that the Spurs have really like that De'Aaron Fox kind of leads the charge with, and you got Stephen Castle, you got Devin Vassell. You have all these. I've used the word speedsters in my story, and we've seen like blow by, or lacking containment. They're just getting into the paint and either finishing at the rim, drawing fouls, or kicking out for threes at will. It does help the Spurs that they were just hot from beyond the arc, and anytime I felt like the Lakers are making any sort of run or like they're able to just three. It's like, well, you can't build a run if every time you score you're allowing a 3-pointer. That happened a few times where just feel like, oh, this may be a game-changing play. Spurs 3-pointer, around the floor, another three, a layup, just over and over again. So not surprised, just because some of the struggles we saw last night have been not just season-long trends, even trends going back to last season.
You know, it's funny you say that. Big shot after big shot. There are two ways to look at it. I'm with you. I mean, there's Keldon Johnson's looking like Reggie Miller out there in that first half. Every shot he took, hits 3 threes in a row, and then eventually misses 3 straight free throws, which I don't remember seeing in the NBA. He got fouled on a 3-point shot. He misses 3 straight free throws. Looked like me on the line there, Khobi. But there was, I think, like you said, there are moments where anytime a run was going to happen, but the defense continues to kind of to stick out, because I think a lot of the shots that the Spurs were taking, there was the extra pass. They were always one step behind, and Spurs were getting the shot that they wanted. And whether that shot goes in or not, it's a make or miss league. I'm sure the Spurs are saying whether that shot goes in or not, that's the shot that we want. You said that, look, there's a certain style of team that is disruptive to the Lakers. Well, if you look at the NBA today, the Thunder is not going anywhere, and we know their style, and we know they're fast and they play defense. The Spurs clearly not going anywhere as well. Kind of like some of the other teams in the Western Conference. Phoenix gave the Lakers some problems where they played just super hard. Now, Phoenix shot unbelievable from the field. Booker doesn't play after the first quarter, but there is a little bit of a trend. All right, well, what do you do if you're the Lakers? I mean, it's impossible not to face some of these teams. Right before you came on, somebody said Lakers' best defenses their offense. I think you would agree with me on this. You go look at any sport. If you're an NFL team and you told me I have a team in the playoffs that plays defense and runs the ball, or I have a team that's trying to put up 35 points in the postseason, give me the team that runs the ball and plays defense. If you told me in baseball, I got a team that tries to score 6 runs to win a game, or I got a team that's got an unbelievable pitching staff and a bullpen, give me the pitching staff and the bullpen. I don't think it's any different in the NBA. How is this corrected? Because it's not going to go away unless some of your personnel is different. What do you think? How do you think the Lakers approach some of the issues that they have, or can they?
Yeah, I mean, I think the more fascinating question is, can they? I think they can. That's where you get to like trade talks, right? I mean, from internally, I mean, there are some improvements, but it's also like the reality of like some of the perimeter defense concerns. Like some of it is just it's a reflection of the personnel. Like maybe Austin could, we've seen better defense from Austin on a night-to-night basis compared to what we saw last night. I think there are a couple levels, like higher levels for LeBron to get to. Honestly, defensively, like that stretch that he had from like late December or last January until he had the groin injury.
Yep.
On early March in Boston, like that was the kind of defense that they just need from him. They needed that from him last year, and they need that from him this year, just because they don't have that level of defense. I actually thought DeAndre Ayton's defense has been pretty good the last few games, and even just early to start yesterday. But to me, this is more of a perimeter defensive issue. Like, there's only so much DeAndre. Like, he's not Rudy Gobert. He's not.
Sure.
He's not, one of those elite rim protectors.
Back in the day, with and listen, this is not a good comp, but back in the day, it's like the Lakers defense with Khobi and Shaq was completely anchored around funnel everything to Shaq. He's not Shaq. He's not Shaq.
No,
right? Like there's this, that's not how it works.
Yeah, you're not trying to funnel everything to DeAndre. Like I said, decent rim protector, but that's not his, those are not his strengths. So, and I know, this was a conversation even going back to the preseason, starting Rui versus starting Marcus Smart, because it does feel like Marcus brings that tenacity. Like and this happened.
And LeBron can probably go to the 4, which would benefit him in just the, obviously you're playing guys that are going to be more around the basket than technically running all over the place. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, no, I was also going to say there's also it feels like when the Lakers defense does play up to par for the most part, is when it takes them a minute to get into the game defensively. Like Philly's the perfect example. They had that slow start defensively, and then they started to pick up the physicality. They started to find their defensive rhythm. I feel like last night they didn't really find a defensive rhythm until Marcus is making all these plays, hustling, running all around the floor, diving for, he consistently brings the level of energy that just, honestly, I don't name a starter who brings that. I don't know who. JJ's been asked that, like, who brings that physicality, and JJ's been honest. He's been like, it's Marcus. I mean, ideally it'd be all 5 guys, but it's typically Marcus. So to me, I mean, internally, there are small things that each player can do better, at least when it comes to the perimeter defense. But internally, I mean, I don't see how much better this group. The shot making aside, but also they entered last night bottom 5, I think, in defensive 3-point percentage.
Yeah, you're right.
That's not going to get better after last night.
Okay, I want to ask you, because I think you said something that you can do with the personnel internally. So I think that's one adjustment you could make. And listen, to JJ Redick's, I mean, it's not his. He can't do anything about Marcus Smart wasn't healthy. So Marcus Smart was out for the last 6 games, and maybe that changes, and maybe they obviously come with some different ideas at some point. I'll throw this one at you real quick, and then we'll move on to another topic. Do you think you understand if the strategy of really not using Vando anymore is how much do you kind of understand, or has JJ Redick been able to explain? And is there a proper explanation for a team that in the last 6 games has given up 122 points? And I'm not even sitting here trying to make the biggest case for Vando, but why, if your defense is struggling the way that it does and you're looking for somebody with tenacity, kind of a hard-nosed guy, a guy that will dive for loose balls, why not try Vando more? Okay, we'll move on.
No. It's I mean, it's something that
the silence was perfect. I think the silence is a lot right there.
Yeah, sometimes what do they say? Picture says 1,000 words. If you're watching this, you saw my face, and you don't have. No. It's a good question. It's something that, I mean, even going back to last year, like Vando's role was not like, it was pretty. I know Jovan mentions this, that like he played like 20 more minutes like 6 times, and in all those 6 times someone was not available. Like they're missing like a front court player, and sometimes it was 2 front court players, and that's when Vando really found himself getting big minutes.
So it's like a circumstance rather than them choosing to use him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not a like. I mean, just based off the actions, JJ doesn't view him as a night-to-night rotation player when the team's fully healthy or near fully healthy. And why is that? I think a lot of it just goes back to JJ's philosophy of the value of spacing, the value of like what this team offensively needs. I think that's why you start Rui over Marcus Smart to an extent. And I'm sure there's more to it than simply that, but I think that's also definitely a factor. Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, yes,
Well, I think the biggest thing, Khobi, is that I think we're getting to a point where if you got the same issue that's glaring, teams, obviously not every team is built like the Spurs. Not every team is as talented as the Spurs. But when you start playing playoff teams, they're not too far from that. And yes, there's going to be some positives and some negatives, and some teams' style might be a little bit different. But I think the bigger thing is, all right, well, if something's not working, why don't you just kind of mix in something? It's December. Isn't now the time to be mixing in different lineups and seeing what works and what doesn't work? And now it's not like the Lakers are 10 games below 500. They're 10 games over 500. But I think it's against some of these elite teams that I'm more curious about how certain players perform.
Well, I mean, that's also, we saw them put Adu Thiero, the rookie 2nd-round pick in the rotation over the road trip.
Yeah.
And, JJ was honest. Like, he had some good moments, and now sometimes he had moments where he lived like a rookie, which happens. I mean, and to me, like, there's an athleticism deficit that's very evident. And
big time.
Yeah, I mean, Adu, you could argue like he's maybe the best pound-for-pound athlete on the roster. So you're not playing. I mean, again, he's a rookie. There are just going to be rookie mistakes. But my, and I said this about Christian Coloco. I said this about Max Christie. I said this about a variety of like young players the Lakers have had in the pipeline since I've covered the team.
Jordan Goodwin, I think you could put in that conversation. Nick Smith Jr. And I don't know if you were going athleticism or just like motor.
Well, no. I was going to go more so experience. I wasn't going to put Jordan Goodwin because like when they got Jordan Goodwin, to me, like he was experienced enough. Whereas like he is a young player, but I viewed him as like a more experienced player. Like he had been around quite enough. I was going to say, you can't. Yeah, they have to play. Like they're like, I'm saying this for Adu. I was saying this for Coloco, obviously, who got away from his 2-way. I'll say this about I said this about Max Christie. Like, yes, they have to show you on the floor the things that you want to see, but they also have to get consistent minutes to build some sort of rhythm. So whether it's Vando, Adu, like to me, one of those two should have a bigger role on this team, just because even if it's for 10, 15, 18 minutes, like they will provide something that the team simply lacks.
I agree.
And that's where, and you have to reconfigure the rotation. That's what it is. Like there are just very glaring holes on this roster that unless like I said, it could come externally, sure, but this team simply lacks so much that, yeah, it can't come. You can't. It has to come from a certain point internally too.
Well, I think, okay, I want to talk about the external in just a second, what they could potentially go out there to try to kind of fill in some of these holes. Before I do so, let me ask you real quick. How would you describe LaRavia's season so far? And has it been kind of had some weird moments with him? He started out the way he started out the season is like, oh my God, this guy he's phenomenal. He's kind of an all around player. I like what he brings to the table. And I'm not going to isolate one game, but if I take last night's game, there have been also a lot of games like that where I don't feel his impact. I think there's a little bit of, is he thinking too much when he's on the floor? Does then JJ start losing confidence in him? What have you made of LaRavia? Because certainly he's not been a consistent player for the Lakers.
Yeah, he kind of fits into what he's more of like the draw. I don't have it in front of me in terms of like games played compared to what he was doing, like where Jordan Goodwin was at last season compared to Jake. But yeah, like Jake had a nice strong start to the season, and it's been kind of downhill over these last couple few months. At least offensively, I think defensively he's had some good moments. I'm thinking back to that Clippers game, the NBA Cup win, where he was being really physical with how he was guarding Kawhi, and that's shown up in other games as well. But yeah, offensively, the consistency hasn't been there, and his value is being one of, like in theory, one of the Lakers' few true two-way players. Can be positive on both ends of the floor. So he's been inconsistent, which as I believe 23-year-old, I think that's how old Jake is, 23. I don't think he's 24 yet. Somewhat expected. Even in his fourth season, like it may be in his fourth season, but he hasn't played. This is the biggest role he's had on the best team he's played for. I said that about Jackson last year, and I know they were in different circumstances. Jackson was actually more experienced than Jake last year. But that's something that I keep in mind. This is the biggest role in the best team he's played for.
And the lights are on. And it doesn't matter how far down the depth chart he is, we're going to talk about him. Like, you're right. There is something to that.
So yeah, I think he's been inconsistent up to this point, especially over the last few weeks. But to me, he played 7 minutes last night, 8 minutes last night, and maybe some of that was matchup dependent, just because again, Spurs are a speed team.
Sure,
there's an area that Strick struggles with. Is that? But he's so important to what this team, like he's one of those connecting guys, right? That I feel like he has to be a significant part of the rotation for this team to get to where they want to get to.
Cool. Final one. I know you got to get out of here. Let's just real quick from an NBA trade perspective, and I'm not here to mention any players or anything like that, but I think for me, the bigger question is, clearly the Lakers have some needs. There's areas that they're going to have to improve on in order for them to, whatever they do internally, I think will only get them so far. And I think you should be happy with a 17-7 record. Clearly there are some flaws. It's December 11th, so they got time before the trade deadline. Do you feel like Rob Pelinka's looking at this team and this roster, and I guess the question I would ask is, how aggressive do you think the front office will be, and how much is the game plan this year, and how much of the game plan is, obviously properly building, understanding that Luka's going to be here for a handful of years. Reaves is probably going to be here for a handful of years. How do you think they juggle that?
I think they're going to be aggressive. I would imagine they're going to be aggressive. Rob, yes, they have spoken on like the future, but they've also, Rob, I think it was preseason. Like Rob said, like, look, like, they've said what they said about the future, but like they want to contend for a championship now. Mm-hmm. Other part of it is that, we just had an ownership change, and I know that, a lot of people received extensions, including Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick.
Yep.
But we have an ownership change. everyone's everyone is under a microscope, especially
Sure.
when said ownership, said new owner invests a lot of money and purchasing the new franchise. So one could argue, oh, they just received extensions, they should be fine. I wouldn't make that argument. So I would expect a level of aggression simply because looking at this team how it is, again, 17-7 as we sit here on December 11th. Good record, very good record, even if the results from certain games leave a bad taste in your mouth. They've shown enough where you can see the outlines of a contender, but
Sure.
the areas of improvement are so obvious. But I would expect probably a higher level of aggression. At least whether that means a move is made, TBD. But compared to maybe even like the last couple seasons.
Great stuff, brother. Good seeing you yesterday at the game. I know there isn't a home game. They have nothing until Christmas, I think. I think that's
It hit me yesterday.
Weird break.
Yeah. Someone was like, "What? That's only 2 weeks."
I
was like, "Oh, that actually makes sense."
It's like an all-star break right in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time, brother. I appreciate the insight as always, and thank you for coming on the show. All right, buddy.
Appreciate you.
All right, that is Khobi Price right there. Good stuff from Khobi. Good stuff. All right, that was fun. I love getting a perspective. Khobi does a great job, like I mentioned, covering the team and everything else. He's in all the locker rooms and all that stuff. So Khobi breaking it down for us. Let's stay on. I do want to stay on that topic right there. The topic we had about making a trade, how aggressive, how not aggressive. I kind of like what he mentioned. And listen, I think there's one thing that I can say very comfortably here. I think the Lakers will make a move, and I think they will be aggressive to an extent. I think if you look at some of the assets that the Lakers have right now, the biggest assets that they have, okay, if you want me to go players, the biggest asset they have is Austin Reaves. But I don't think they're trading Austin Reaves in any deal right now, unless there was, some blockbuster coming, which I don't think that's going to happen. And then if you kind of start going down the list, okay, what are the other assets that they have? I think Rui's an asset. I think expiring contracts are assets. Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleba. I think Vando has some type of value. I think. I mean, hell, maybe that value is just going down because the Lakers aren't using him. But Lakers have some assets. I think the biggest assets that they have that they can go make a deal for is using some draft compensation and using these expiring contracts. One of the questions that the members were bringing up to me earlier this morning when we did a member show at 7 a.m. was they were talking about how do they not make a trade? Do they save their assets? Do they wait till LeBron's $52 million is off the books? Listen, I think it's a fair question. But I think you could still still think you could kill two birds with one stone. I still think if you're the Lakers, you can be aggressive, go try to make a trade, go try to grab that 3-and-D player, go try to grab a player that can help you for this season, but most importantly, grab a player that can help you for the next few years. Any trade that the Lakers make, you have to keep in mind, how does that player going to look with Luka? How is that player going to look with Austin Reaves? How can that player complement what the Lakers already have? How does that player look when LeBron is gone? I still think you could accomplish those. Can you go get an Herb Jones? Probably not. I don't think you can. But can you get a player that is that type of style, that type of 3-and-D player that's on a team where he's maybe buried or he's on a really bad team and that franchise doesn't need that player. They want expiring contracts in the draft pick. Yes. I think the question about whether the Lakers should make a move or should they wait, I don't really think it's a question. I think if you're the Lakers right now, you have a good enough team with good enough top-notch personnel, and now you got to go try to find some depth. Is a trade going to guarantee you a shot at beating the Thunder? Of course it's not. Is it going to guarantee you beating the Denver Nuggets or the Houston Rockets or the San Antonio Spurs or the Minnesota Timberwolves? It doesn't guarantee you anything. But why the hell play the game and why have Luka and some of these other players if you're not going to try to at least compete and improve your roster, not just for this year, but for years to come as well? I think that's also going to be an important narrative in this entire thing. Okay, I got a lot of comments that I need to look at, and I'm going to do so in just a second. Before I do, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Shout out to their partnership on the channel. I'll be at their podcast studio tomorrow, so looking forward to hanging out with Brad and some of the members of his team. Serious injury, wrongful death case. If you are a family member or a friend has been in a situation, you're not sure what to do, you're not kind of sure where to start, just go to a simple website that can really just spell everything out for you. It could kind of take all that pressure and that stress that you have in whatever situation that you're in. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go on that website, you can fill out, get a free consultation, and have one of his team members help you out and kind of get that process started. He can help anybody in the state of California. So something to keep in mind in regards to that. Again, the website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. One of the best injury attorneys in the state of California. And I could speak personally about my relationship with him. He'll take care of you. wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. All right, let's take a look at some of these comments here. Trade to improve equals yes. Trade to contend does not exist. Yeah, but what if that trade that you make to improve also helps you for years to come? That's the type of trade that you're looking for. Timberwolves, I don't think. I was just using Minnesota as an example. To be honest, I don't think I've seen enough from the Minnesota Timberwolves to really know. Sleek, keep AR and keep getting smashed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a move to be had right now, and I don't know if the Lakers are going to be out there making a move for Austin Reaves. I just don't think that's going to be happening. So, all right, let's see what we have here. No trade exists right now that will make us real contenders. Okay. By the way, I do appreciate this. I do appreciate that, obviously the way a lot of Laker fans are looking at this, it's not the small success that the Lakers have had. It's like, all right, but big picture. I get that. I understand where you guys are coming from in that. Thanks. This was in reference to the LeBron comment. That was this one. What were Reaves' stats against OKC without LeBron? Got it. So you're basically making the case that there are games where LeBron doesn't play and Reaves has still struggled. It had more to do with the team they were playing and the defense that they were playing. Yeah, I don't put Bron. Bron's not responsible for whether Austin Reaves had a good game or not. That's up to Austin Reaves to figure out. It's the same problems from the playoffs: lack of athleticism, defense, and bench production. They have been winning, but context is important. Bonner, I appreciate all the supers, brother. Very nice of you guys. 3 in a row right there. Thank you. There is some truth to this. Minnesota was athletic. They were long. They played defense. They had a better bench than the Lakers. There is definitely some context there. And I think 17-7, you can be happy with the record. I think the context will tell you that the Lakers are going to struggle with these elite teams. So what does it matter if you get off, if your record is good, if you kind of know that eventually you're going to be playing teams that are going to be better than you? So I think that adds context to it. I think that's fair. All right, let's get a couple more in here. All right, people making cases for Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. I got a little bit of why are the Lakers going to, or why are New Orleans going to make a trade with the Lakers? Oh, that's a good. I don't even really know 100% where this started from, but somebody getting Ronnie Cycli into the chat. That's good work right there. That's good work right there. Loved Cycli. Was he on Miami for a while? That's pretty funny, actually. That's actually pretty damn funny. All right. We are, I got a couple of other things left to do here, and then we're going to call it a day. Got some NBA news that I want to hit on. The semifinals is set in the NBA Cup. There's some games coming up tonight, some injuries in the NBA that we're going to hit on as well. Then we're going to call it a day. Shout out to everybody on the chat. Thank you for being here. Shout out whether you're watching this live or you're watching it a little bit later. Obviously, we get a lot of views after the show ends. Shout out to those who are listening to this on the iHeartRadio podcast or Spotify or however you get your podcast. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. NBA Cup is set. Semifinals is set. You know who's not going to be there? The Lakers. Saturday, Knicks and the Orlando Magic. 2:30 game on Prime Video. What? 2:30? The hell? Spurs and the Thunder. 6 p.m. on Prime Video. Amazon just scooping up all these NBA games. Saying, all right, we'll take them. Listen, I'll watch the NBA Cup. I don't know if everybody else is going to be watching, but I'll be watching. Some games going on tonight. Celtics and the Bucks. Blazers and the Pelicans. Nuggets and the Kings. Clippers and the Rockets. So I think basically what I'm here to tell you is not that many good games tonight. Some good individual teams, but not really good matchups. Celtics now 15-9. Damn, they're still winning. Clippers are 6-18. They're taking on the Rockets. Maybe I'll tune into that game for a little bit. Get a chance to watch a little Clippers and the Rockets. Those are some of the games that's coming up tonight. A couple things around the NBA. Hate seeing this. I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. Derek Lively to have season-ending foot surgery for the Dallas Mavericks. Trying to address lingering discomfort, the team announced on Wednesday. Lively, who played 7 games this season, is expected to make a full recovery and be available for the start of training camp. Damn. Just like that, huh? Derek Lively out for the year. All right, let's look at this one here real quick. One game yesterday, Thunder blow, or 2 games, but Thunder blow out the Suns. They matched the 73-win Warriors with a 24-1 start. Oh my God, they're 24-1. You know, I got to be honest. I haven't really watched many Thunder's games. I'm going to watch on Saturday. Very curious to see the game on Saturday when they take on the San Antonio Spurs. I think that'll be fun to watch. And who knows, maybe that's the game that they decide to bring Victor Wembanyama back in. So that could be a fun game. Certainly can be a fun game. We'll see what happens in regards to that. So that's really most of the NBA stories out there. There's other trade rumors, all the other stuff that people bring up, but that stuff kind of comes and goes. So I'm not too concerned about that. I'm going to read a few comments here, and then we're going to call it a day. I appreciate you guys hanging out for obviously the full hour, and then we're going to get out of here. Nobody watches Thunder games. Well, I love the NBA, so I'm going to watch. But I get what you're saying, Zach. Not a lot of people watch, but listen, greatness is greatness. 24-1, that's greatness. I mean, you know, we could all look at it and we could all kind of give our opinion and hate on the Thunder and say small market, this and that. That's the foundation of the league, not the foundation of the league. That's the blueprint for the NBA right now. What the Oklahoma City Thunder are doing. Just incredible. Incredible what they're doing. Harden is balling this year. Only bright spot for the Flippers. 6-18. My God. That's awful. Really? You really feel that? You really sure about that one? Sure about that one? I don't know about that one. All right, my people, I think that's all we got for the day. I got kind of a cool call. Take you guys behind the scenes here for a quick second. So part of my relationship with iHeart now, really involved with them on some different partnerships. So 10 o'clock got a call with like 6 or 7 different people with iHeart, kind of strategizing about the channel, looking for, obviously additional partnerships that make sense for kind of that Southern California market. I mentioned a little bit earlier today, if you were a member, we got a new partnership starting next week. Shout out to Harris Resort. located Valley Center, like North San Diego. They're going to be coming in as a new partner. Starting next week, we got a brand new partner. This is a relationship with somebody that I've had for about 10 years or so. I'll tell you the one thing I love, and this kind of shows you how important relationships are in any business. But the Wallace firm, Brad Wallace, have known him for a number of years. He used to be with me on radio. Harris coming into the channel, known them for a long time. This is going to be a unique partnership because I think this is going to create some opportunities to do some stuff at the resort and really kind of get listeners involved as well. Do some viewing parties from there, do the morning show from there. So I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for hanging out for the last hour or so. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and looking forward to doing another show with everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your morning. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody.